Hello and welcome to Ramblings of a 42-Year-Old Man. Chris Smith here with you today. We're going to do a quick book review today. We're going to do it on the book called Imaginary Friend by Chbosky. Hopefully that's pronounced right. Chbosky. It's kind of tough, but I'm going to go with Chbosky. So this book was written in 2019. It's a follow-up to Chbosky's debut novel, which was The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which was a big hit bestseller. Movie was made out of it with Emma Watson in it. And so this is kind of his follow-up to that, which goes in a very different direction than Perks of Being a Wallflower was. That was definitely a coming-of-age drama, kind of a teen coming-of-age drama story. Imaginary Friend is purely horror in the kind of mold of Stephen King. And I think I say that a lot with these, but it seems like a lot of the books I read, definitely most horror books have some sort of a lead by Stephen King that kind of, propels them forward. So this one is very much so. This one reminds me an awful lot of books like Needful Things or Under the Dome, where you've got a town that is going through some crazy stuff. You get to know so many characters across the town, and they each have their own kind of stories and backstories and progression throughout the book. It is a very long book. It is I think it's a 700-page book. I listened to it on audiobook. It was a 25-hour audiobook. I mean, that's a long story. This is actually, other than those gigantic Stephen King tomes, that's longer than most books I listen to. But this one was good. I would say that there were times that it felt a little long as you're going through there, so that's the only thing. But it was in service to a lot of character building. There's a lot of characters. It is definitely built up, I mentioned, similar to like Under the Dome or Needful Things, where you get to know everybody in this town. And each one of these characters has their own little backstory and their own part of the story to play as it goes forward. So kind of the plot of this spoiler-free plot, a young man ends up getting lost in the woods near his home for 6 days. And when he comes back, he's a little bit different. And it kind of goes into the reasons why. This imaginary friend, that's kind of the title of the book, goes in very different ways than you may think. When I first kind of was looking at the book, I'm like, oh, so it's going to be about some imaginary friend that turns out to be some supernatural creature. And yes, but it goes in some very interesting different ways than you may think. There's a very interesting twist about like right before the climax really gets going, where the person who you think you're kind of is the main antagonist. There's a little bit of antagonist switcheroo near the end of it, so it's very interesting. It kept you engaged. Like I said, it's a very long book, but it does keep you engaged throughout. It will depend on your mileage of character building. If you're okay with listening to hours of character building, you will like this book. If you read Stephen King's It and you're bored to death, then this is not your kind of book, But for me, it was good. Again, I'm listening to these usually as I'm working throughout the day, so I'm able to kind of just put it on and get through an 8-hour day of work. This took almost a week to listen to, but it got me through some long days of work too. Solid character building. Obviously, when you have this much time to devote to characters, you're going to have some hopefully some very solid character building. Otherwise, you're in for a really, really long read or listen. And then there are some pretty cool twists. There are some really scary parts. There's some parts that get pretty graphic. There's some parts that are very tense. And overall, just really well done for a second novel that jumps completely different genres than his initial one did. I thought it was pretty well done. So again, that is Imaginary Friend. It is written by Stephen Chbosky. Pretty sure I got it. And that came out in 2019. It was a pretty big book. I don't know if it ended up on the bestsellers or not, but I know it was a good seller, and so you probably will be able to find that at your library or on your Libby app if you have your library connected to that. That's where I get a lot of my audiobooks to listen to. So I'm sure you can find that if you're interested. It is good. Just be prepared to be with it for a while. It is a very long story to tell, but it is rewarding. And again, if you are very interested in books where you get to meet a lot of people and you get to know a lot of people and stuff, this is very good for that. So thank you for listening. As always, we'll ramble again soon, and talk to y'all later.